federal police officers and 2 Tasmanian officers have been taken to hospital. All are believed to be okay. Scott Morrison was not involved. And the federal government's talking up its economic credentials as the unemployment rate remains at a 50-year low. The jobless rate sits at 4% nationally for March. All positions are full-time with more women in work. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says Australia's economic recovery is underway.
Today's job numbers confirm that the Morrison government's economic plan is working, continuing that strong momentum we're seeing across the economy. Female unemployment was down, youth unemployment was down, underemployment was down.
But here in SA, we had a slight fall in the jobless rate, but it's still the highest in the nation. COVID case numbers are rising ahead of the mask mandate lifting in SA at midnight. 5,398 new cases have been recorded today and a man in his 70s has died. 238 people are in hospital, including 11 in ICU. And a new report has found the expansion of the Flinders Medical Centre's emergency department to fix ambulance ramping has failed. The report by ED physician Mark Monaghan described the Southern Health Expansion project as poorly conceived and implemented. It's been released by new Health Minister Chris Picton, who says they'll be getting to work on the recommendations as soon as possible.
And they cover a whole series of areas in terms of how patients get access to various parts of the hospital, how we can make sure that we get access to a ward sooner, how we can add additional clinical support, including on the weekends. I know that there's also particular issues in terms of the availability of radiology services.
It comes as the latest SA ambulance service data reveals ramping across the metro area increased by 78% in March after declining in January and February due to the cancellation of elective surgery. Unions say it's unacceptable Qantas executives enjoyed a wellness session at the same time delays were growing at airports around the country. Qantas insists conducting the activities for management played no role in the delays, which began last Friday. The airline says senior managers have been assisting staff and passengers in terminals today, which is the busiest day in 2 years. But Michael Kane from the TWU says it's insulting for only some staff to benefit from the wellness program.
With dog therapy, with candlestick making sessions, the contrast there is just despicable. What has gone wrong with the corporate culture at Qantas?
Police have charged a 62-year-old man with a terror offence after he allegedly shot 10 people and injured 19 more in Brooklyn. Frank James is accused of detonating a smoke grenade and firing a gun in a crowded subway carriage. His motive is unknown. Now turning to FIVEAA sport, and Melbourne will welcome back the world's best golfers. It's been confirmed the Victorian capital will host the President's Cup in 2028 and 2040. The venue's yet to be announced. Round 5 of the AFL kicks off tonight. It's the Lions up against Collingwood at the Gabba, while the Crows are considering major lineup changes this weekend when they take on Richmond. Triple Premiership Richmond star Nick Vlosten returns for his first game of the season. Coach Damien Hardwick says he's an important in with Dylan Grimes out.
He's one of those players that makes those around him better. You know, players walk a little bit taller with him in the side because of the way he goes about it. And, you know, we've got a young developing defence down there as well. You know, Ralph Smith's coming to the side, showing some really good signs. Ben Miller's stood up again for us last week.
While Port will name an extended squad with their clash against Carlton not till Sunday. Now checking FIVEAA traffic.
At Ottawa, emergency waterworks on Eastern Parade near St John's Road. Urgent sewer works at Urbray, that's Cross Road near Waite Road. And Valley View urgent electrical works on North East Road near Grand Junction Road. At Paradise, lights out of action there due to a blackout on Gorge Road near Silkies Road. And we've got cameras for the drive home. North-South Motorway Bolivar, Rope Terrace, North Adelaide. Hop over to BWS for the Easter Bevy sale. Grab a case of Byron Bay Premium Lager bottles for $50. Hurry, ends Monday. T's and C's apply. Choose to drink wise. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is giving 5 winners $50,000 in their Easter draws. Ends midnight Thursday.
Partly cloudy and 28 today, more of the same tomorrow, then sunny on Saturday up to 30 and 27 for Sunday. Right now, 23. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News tonight.
Airport chaos and busy roads. See Adelaide's biggest Easter exodus since the pandemic began. A COVID spike just as masks come off tomorrow. We'll have the latest. A warning tonight for mortgage holders. Could interest rates go up within weeks? Plus the hidden dangers in toys and treats this Easter, what parents need to know. I'm Brenton Raglis. See the full story on 9 News tonight at 6.
$13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
Good afternoon, it is 10 minutes past 3 o'clock and welcome to those that are live streaming. You can jump onto FIVEAA's live stream on either Facebook or YouTube, proudly supporting Cancer Council SA.
You better get a lawyer, son. You better get a real good one. You better get a lawyer, son. You better get a real good one.
And it is time to talk law, and today we are joined in the studio by Emma Thornton, who is a partner and lawyer at Johnston Withers Lawyers. Today's topic is employment laws. There's been some changes, and it really does. It affects you and me. It affects how we're employed, our rights, and also our entitlements. Emma, it's great to have you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks Jade, thanks for having me.
Well, let's start off with what is employment law? Why should we care?
Well, a lot of us are engaged in employment, so it affects the everyday experience of work. A lot of us go to spend more time at work than we do at home. And employment law really is all about the types of benefits and entitlements that a worker has, including their salary and leave, work health and safety, access to workers' compensation, and all of those things play into an employment relationship and are enshrined in law and lead to disputes and other issues that arise at work, which creates work for me. So that's essentially what employment law is about. And it's really, lots of people have lots of questions because it affects their everyday life so much. So we thought it might be helpful to come and have a chat about some changes that have happened in employment law. And obviously over the years there's been a lot of change in employment in Australia. It's very different to the 60s, 70s and 80s where people, predominantly men, were working in full-time stable work, to now be a very different environment where people are engaged in all sorts of employment, lots of casual work, labour hire arrangements, contracting arrangements, and so of course that's led to lots of changes in the law over that time.
There's been 2 landmark hearings handed down by the High Court, which has really caught your attention, hasn't it, and sort of changed the scape of the future. What happened? What were they? Well,
there's over the years been lots and lots of cases about whether an employee is an employee or whether they're a contractor, or whether they're a casual employee but actually full-time. So as you'd know, different kinds of employment gives rise to different kinds of rights at work. So traditionally casual employees have had less rights, not the same access to unfair dismissal. They get higher hourly rates but not paid for sick leave or annual leave. Right. And there's been a rise in that kind of employment over time. So one of the recent cases from the High Court, and look, it's quite significant because you don't get that many decisions in employment law handed down by the country's highest court. So it definitely tells us what's happening in the law in Australia, and we follow decisions of the High Court. And the first one was about an employee who was engaged in coal mining in Queensland, actually, and was working as a casual employee for a long time, doing the same hours as the full-time employee next to him. And he claimed entitlements, saying, look, I'm not really a casual. You've been treating me like a casual all these years, but in fact I'm full-time, so I should have accrued leave in that kind of time.
Yeah, sure. And sick leave and all of that. Super.
Yeah. I mean, casual employees get super, but definitely they don't accrue that annual leave, the long service leave, or in some occasions long service leave, but in general terms don't have the same access to leave.
Yeah.
So in the past, courts always looked at, well, what's happened in that kind of employment relationship? So what's happened over all those years? Has that employee done those regular hours? Does their employment look very similar to the full-time employee working next to them? And so they've looked at how it's played out. The recent decision and the other 2 that I'll talk about as well really have resulted in the court saying it's really about how the employment relationship is set up in the beginning that we look at now. You look at the contract, you look at what was agreed in the beginning, and you don't look at anything that has to happen past that time. So that's a massive change, because in the past, lots of employees could bring cases where accessing entitlements that they didn't think that they weren't paid during their working life.
Yeah.
But at the end of that working time with that employer could say, well, hang on, I should have got those things. Now, if it's not in the agreement up front, particularly if it's in writing, then the employee's not going to be able to get those.
So we're going to see more people having to sign a contract at the beginning of their employment.
That may be the case. I mean, obviously it's a lot harder to establish what that relationship was if the contract isn't in writing.
Sure.
But I think the main thing for people to consider in terms of how it will affect them at work every day is when you get a new job and you get a contract, you really need to understand that contract, and you really need to read it and to understand what's in writing, because that's going to be your employment relationship going forward. So in the case of this coal mining worker, the High Court essentially found, well, you're engaged as a casual, you knew that, and that's it. That's the end of it, really.
Tough cookies.
Yeah, so it was a big change in employment law. And then there were some similar cases dealing with labour hire employees as well. So similar kinds of situations. So one was about a bloke who was engaged by a labour hire company as a contractor, as a self-employed contractor. And he actually went to work on a commercial building site for the labour hire company. And he was obviously then supervised day to day by the company running the site. And then he claimed that he'd been underpaid entitlement, so leave, and sought that the labour hire employer provide him with those entitlements. So the question that went all the way to the High Court was whether he was a contractor or an employee.
Contractor?
Well, in the past, if you're a contractor, the court would look at what's the kind of whole relationship. What are all those things going on in that relationship that might suggest if you're an employee or a contractor? So things, for example, like how much control does the employer have over what you're doing every day? Do they provide you with your uniform or your van or your tools or your laptop, or do you have to provide them yourself? Do you wear a uniform? Can you get your mate to sub in for you one day and do your job when you can't go to work? So a traditional sort of contracting arrangement, like when you get a plumber and the plumber can say, I can't come today, but Mick, my mate, who's also a plumber, can come and do the plumbing.
Yeah, sure.
So those things would suggest that you're a contractor, but so they used to look at the whole relationship. What was playing out there that suggested either employee or contractor. But now it's about the contract again. So similar to the casual employee, this labour hire employee was essentially told by the High Court, well, you agreed to it, and that's how it is. So it was in writing, and all the court has to do is look at what's in writing and then make a decision about the rights and obligations flowing from that contract. So there's no consideration anymore about the great, what I think is a power imbalance between an individual employee and a company that wants to contract with them. And so I think it makes it, it's difficult in those circumstances as someone who wants to get paid to be able to say, I actually want to set the terms of this contract or have an influence on that. But that's not a factor that is
so more
considered.
power to the businesses and the hirers than there is the employee. And this is a really interesting landscape as well, because since COVID and, mandates for vaccinations and people, I guess talking to their bosses in regards to, what are my rights and, all of those sorts of things now are really quite topical. If you'd like to talk to Emma, ask a question about your situation in employment, you can 822 300 00.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead, who offers great value cover you won't regret. Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by AAI Limited Trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
Have you thought about where your face mask was made? Remember, not all face masks are made the same. So when it comes to protecting yourself and your family, think PPE Tech. 100% Australian owned and made. PPE Tech manufactures P2 face masks that comfortably seal to your face and filter more than 98% of particles. Now is the time to protect all Australians and support Aussie-made products. Order online to receive up to 40% off and free delivery at ppetech.com.au. That's ppetech.com.au.
You deserve to enjoy doing what you're passionate about. Gardening, for example, or walking to keep fit. So if your body is stopping you from enjoying the life you want, come and see us at SportsMed. Our Stepney Healthcare Hub includes our own hospital, orthopaedic surgeons, doctors, physios and podiatrists, so we can see to your care from diagnosis to rehabilitation, all in one place. Easy. Get back to doing what you love. sportsmed.com.au.
The original MasterChef winner, Julie Goodwin!
Julie's back.
Don't be nervous.
It's like saying, don't be 51.
MasterChef Fans and Favourites starts Easter Monday on 10.
Did you know that rosemary is sometimes used as a simple way to say goodbye? As an evergreen plant, rosemary is associated with remembrance and eternal life. It's simple touches like these that make Simplicity Funerals simply different.
You don't have to head south to taste your way around McLaren Vale. Just head north to your pals. Sam and Jamie from Parafield Airport Liquor Store know every drop on the shelf. They can guide you through the McLaren Vale region all under one roof. Whether you're a weekend sommelier or just know you like reds, talk wine with your pals and they'll introduce you to their best McLaren Vale pals. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Hurry into Beaumont's huge DIY sale. Refresh your kitchen splashback for under $100. Update your outdoor pavers with 20% off and grab up to 60% off Manager's Easter specials. In-store only at your local Beaumont Tiles.
It's value the Australian way this Easter at Coles. And to help make your Easter shopping easier, we've added thousands of extra home delivery windows and thousands of extra click and collect windows. Shop online at coles.com.au.
Jade Robran on 13.95, Adelaide's 5AA.
We're talking with Emma Thornton, lawyer and partner at Johnston Withers, who are your Adelaide legal firm with 75 years' experience. And you can head to their website, johnstonwithers.com.au, if you would like to get in contact with them. Emma, another really interesting case in regards to a truck driver. What happened there?
It's along the same lines as the other cases I was talking about, but it's definitely a situation I see a lot now where there was an employee who was actually employed by this company as a truck driver, and then the company decided they weren't going to employ anyone, and they said, look, if you want to keep working, and we'll keep using you, but you've got to buy your own truck. So I see this a lot, particularly in transport, where employers decide they don't want the risk of running a fleet of trucks, and so they push that kind of risk down to individual employees. So this guy decided, yep, okay, I'll go and buy my own truck, and he set up a company with his wife and entered into a contract with this company to deliver goods. And initially he got paid for the deliveries he did, but then that changed into a contract where he got sort of paid for a set number of hours, irrespective of how long he had to work on any day. So it looked more like an employment kind of relationship when that happened. Then, of course, the company terminates the agreement in 2017, and he said, I was actually an employee, I should get entitlements. So that case also went to the High Court, and it was a case again about was he an employee or a contractor. So we end up in the same position we were in with those other two cases, sadly, and so obviously there's a very big change in the law where the court just said the rights and duties in the contract are what characterises the relationship. They offered you a contracting arrangement, you accepted that, it's in writing, difference in bargaining power isn't relevant, and we're going to go and look at the terms of the contract. So when it's wholly in writing, it's what's in writing that's really going to be what's enforced by a court and really what the parties are obliged to follow. Unless, of course, there's something illegal about that contract, you're pretty much stuck with it. So I think, again, that's the important lesson, is now for everyone to have a really good understanding of the situation they're going into, because when it's offered in writing and you accept it in writing, you may very well be stuck with that arrangement. So
I find that really difficult because a lot of people will start a job and then that job spec will change and you start taking on all different roles and responsibilities, and I feel like that's quite unfair then for the employer to go, well, sorry, this is what your contract said, not my problem if you've taken this, this and this on. It's hard. And David's messaged in, he said, Jade, casuals are paid at a higher rate that to compensate sick and taken annual leave. It means that permanent staff are disadvantaged if casuals then accrue entitlements they have already been paid for. That's David's opinion, which a lot of people would have.
Oh, look, and there was lots of arguments in these cases about, you know, whether the 25%, which is the usual casual loading, is adequate compensation, or should it be offset against sort of the amount of entitlements that someone should get if in fact they do turn out to be a permanent employee. But I don't think there's too much to worry about now, because if you're casual, you're casual, and if that's the way the employment relationship is set up, it's very difficult to recharacterise it. So that issue or concern really won't come up as much in the future.
What are some of the basic protections that a permanent employee enjoys as opposed to a contractor, like an Uber driver, for example, such as, you know, unfair dismissal and all those sorts of laws?
Well, I think a lot of people want permanent employment because even though you can be dismissed from any kind of employment for a range of reasons, you've got more security in that employment because if an employer wants to dismiss you lawfully and it's performance related, for example, they've got to go through a whole process for that to happen. It's not as easy to say you're not on the roster anymore, there's no more shifts for you. So it makes that employment relationship more entrenched. And I think there's lots of flow-on benefits from that, like people being able to get loans for houses. It's, you know, often difficult if you have insecure work to participate in the economy that way. So, and part of that is access to paid leave, so paid sick leave or carers leave.
Which is really
leave.
important post-COVID, isn't it? We've realised just how important those sorts of entitlements are.
Exactly, because I've really felt for people who have had insecure work, got COVID, don't get paid sick leave, and then can't work for a week or two. I know I'd really struggle if I wasn't getting paid for a week or two. Like, I rely on my regular income to meet my financial obligations, and I imagine most people do. So it is really hard for people when they can't access ongoing pay and work. And so permanent employment sort of offers that security and that safety net that lots of people need. It's also easier to access unfair dismissal laws as a permanent employee, so those sort of legal protections, and much harder for people in insecure work. And I think over time there's been a tendency in the economy to create more of those flexible jobs, flexible for employers, but for employees doesn't give them that sort of security and regular pay and entitlements.
Emma, thank you so much for coming in. It's Emma Thornton there from Johnston Withers Lawyers. We're going to take a short break, head into the newsroom. Coming up next, we'll be chatting to MasterChef Judge Melissa Leong. She's going to settle a bit of a debate with me. Do you keep chocolate in the fridge or in the pantry? And of course we'll talk about this season's the new season of MasterChef coming up, Fans v Faves.
You can't go past IGA for hundreds of weekly specials right across the store. Like Dairy Farmers Thick and Creamy Yogurt, 150 grams selected varieties, $1.50 each. Now at IGA. Offer ends April 19. Participating stores only. Excludes local grocer and Foodland.
Yeah. Here I come, can't have one if you ain't lost none. Big Papa Bear, call me the done. This 1-3 nizzle in the sound system. Here I come.
You up for a small SUV with attitude? With an elevated ride height, smart tech and two-tone colour range. The Kia Stonic SUV.
Has your family run into a legal dispute? Have you had an injury or car accident you believe you can claim for? Has someone left a will that you would like to challenge? If you find yourself needing a lawyer, you need the team at Johnston Withers. Johnston Withers is an Adelaide legal firm with 75 years experience. They have plenty of expertise in family law, personal injury, motor accident claims, wills and estates, workers' compensation, asbestos diseases and much more. Every Thursday we'll talk about current legal issues with the legal experts from Johnston Withers Lawyers, but you can call them anytime. For free initial advice, Johnston Withers is with you. Call them on 8231 1110, that's 8231 1110, or go to johnstonwithers.com.au.
There are some things in SA that are better off together, like the Popeye and the Torrens, Fritz and Sauce, the Mall's Balls. But if you're after the perfect pair, you can't go past your seniors card paired with a National Pharmacies membership. Your seniors card entitles you to an exclusive National Pharmacies membership offer, and you'll benefit with up to 70% off prescription medication, 20% off prescription glasses and sunnies, and much more. So talk to our friendly team at National Pharmacies and join the community that cares for yours.
Hey, what you doing?
Checking out all the Coopers specials at sipandsave.com.au.
Have they still got my favourite Cooper's Pale Ale 24-pack for only $49.99?
Yep, and you can get the guys their favourite too. Cooper's Mild 3.5% 24 packs are just $43.99 each.
Perfect. And is Cooper's Pacific Pale Ale still on special?
Sure is. A 24 pack is only $54.99.
Awesome.
You'll always find your favourite Coopers products at Sip and Save.
Prices may vary in country areas. 1 hour delivery available in selected areas. Download the Sip and Save app.
I started with a name.
A town.
A rumour.
A passenger list.
Yeah, he was the black sheep.
An orphan.
She was one of 12.
From Dublin.
Greece.
They left Portsmouth.
Her first husband died.
He was in and out of jail.
They were neighbours.
Married a policeman.
Had 5 children. Died in childbirth.
And that's my story.
There are some incredible stories hidden in our past. Start piecing together your family history today with a 14-day free trial at ancestry.com.au. Free trial terms apply.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
I'm Kendall Brettig. New figures show ambulance ramping in SA was up 78% in March. South Australia's unemployment rate has dropped slightly to 4.9%, but it's still the worst rate in the nation. Police are handing out flyers at TTP as they try to find Modbury North man Ian Lees, who's been missing for 6 weeks. And in footy, round 5 kicks off tonight at the Gabba with Collingwood taking on Brisbane. Partly cloudy and 28, at the moment 23. More news at 4 o'clock and as it happens on 5AA.
1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Jade Robran.
Good afternoon, it is 3:31 on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks so much for joining the program and spending your afternoon with us here at 5AA. Have you hit the road yet? It's just about that school pickup time. A lot of your children might have finished earlier today and you might have hit the road a little bit earlier, or picking the little ones up now and heading off. Maybe you're lucky and you got the day off, an extra day off, and you're already on the road. Well, we're going to get an update from 7 News a little bit later on in regards to where there's a bit of congestion and also some petrol prices along the way. But are you a MasterChef fan? I must admit I am. MasterChef, well, can you believe it? It returns for its 14th season. MasterChef Australia, it is back. It's back with a bang, and it is this year Faves v Favourites. Melissa, welcome to the show. It's great to chat with you. It's back, MasterChef's Fans v Favourites. Did any fans get starstruck on day one?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's safe to say all of the fans were starstruck by the favourites, and I think we were a bit starstruck too. I mean, Julie Goodwin, Billy Mackay, Sashi Talaya. I mean, there are some really incredibly huge personalities from the whole MasterChef universe in the kitchen. How could you not be taken in by that?
Well, we love Sashi being a South Aussie. What do you love about having him back?
Honestly, Sashi is such a precise, considered cook, but he also just knows how to generate flavour in the most crazy ways. And so to be able to experience his food on a daily basis is just one of the perks of the job.
So day one, a few nerves I've heard. Julie Goodwin, we love having her back. She's just someone that you watch and you just want to wrap your arms around. But I hear that she was a nervous wreck. That endears me even more to her.
Yeah, look, I think that it takes a bold, resilient but vulnerable person to be able to, after so many years, walk back into the kitchen and put it all on the line once more, and just to really kind of gain a measure of who you are now versus, many years ago. And so I think it was with a lot of awe that we watched her walk into the kitchen, and yes, she was absolutely nervous. I think that we were nervous for her, but at the same time, I think we always need to remember that flavour is what trumps anything else in the MasterChef kitchen. And so things don't have to be fancy as long as they're delicious. And I think if people remember that, both in the cooking realm of, of shows, but also at home, that's some comfort to take.
Our little birdie told me that she cut her finger.
That's true. Look, injuries happen in the kitchen all of the time, especially when you're nervous or you're hurrying, and that can obviously set you back even more, when that happens, because then you're really conscious of your injury. So, the one thing you can be guaranteed about Julie and every single other contestant is really that they are they're so brave in pushing on through no matter what's going on. They always deliver, and that's really something that I respect.
Well, Melissa, you can completely understand that she'd feel, somewhat nervous, as well as some of the other contestants that were on, way back when, because, that was more home cooking, and now you see the likes of, smoke pouring out and towers of toffee. Like, the game has stepped up a notch.
Absolutely. I think one thing we can be proud of as Australians is that our IQ as a nation when it comes to food has really, really increased, and we've seen home cooking be everything from humble and rustic all the way through to finely nuanced and very, very high technique demonstrated. So there's all of that there, and I think that's what makes this season spectacular, is we have what matters, which is the heart of food, and all of the trickery, all of the skills, all of the techniques gained by the favourites in their years since they've left the kitchen, and then also from these brand new fresh faces that have just been honing their skills at home and doing an incredible job. It's a really great dynamic to watch.
Without giving away too much, what's been your favourite moment so far?
Oh, wow. There have been so many crazy moments this season, but I think, very early on, look, I'm bringing it back to Julie again, but for me, vulnerability is such an important superpower for humans to have. And she said, I came back to see what's left of me.
Oh.
Yeah, and even now thinking about it, it makes me emotional, because to be able to come back after so much that's happened, both publicly and privately, and to be able to just set it all aside, focus on the food, and fall back in love with cooking in front of the world, that really takes a special kind of person. So to be there for those moments, not just with Julie, but with so many of the returning contestants, but then also, with the brand new contestants just wanting to stand up and make their mark in food and on television on this show, that to me is a very humbling thing to watch.
The taste of food is obviously very important as a judge, but I feel part of your judging that you want someone to really feel it, to really have that connection.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Look, food is a vehicle and a vessel for stories and for culture and for family and history. So I want to feel it in terms of understanding what the reason behind the choice of that dish, the way it was cooked, what the ingredients mean to that particular contestant. All of that really does matter. And yes, ultimately it has to be delicious. But when food is layered with meaning, I think that it just ends up becoming much more potent.
When you see some of these contestants go off and open a restaurant, or or sign with someone incredible overseas, or just achieve a dream, you must feel like a proud mum. Or big
Look,
sister,
they do
probably.
They do it all on their own. Honestly, we are such proud champions of what each and every contestant achieves when they go out of the kitchen and they go into the world and apply themselves. They do it off their own steam, and yes, we're always there. When people leave, we always say, look, you're part of the MasterChef family now. We really do mean it, and we have contestants from all years messaging us and asking for advice, and wherever we have the ability to, we will always provide that support and that mentorship as much as we possibly can. And I know the former judges also continue to do that with the many contestants that have passed through their lives as well, and it's part of what this job means, and it does make us so happy to see people succeed. Why wouldn't you be happy when you can see people just really achieving their dreams?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the three of you, you signed on in 2020, and COVID has hit basically for the last 2 years. I bet you're looking forward to just smooth sailing, or is it never smooth sailing in a MasterChef kitchen?
I think that it's never smooth sailing in the MasterChef kitchen. There's always something to dodge and weave and to work with in a really buoyant kind of way. That's just the uncertainty of life. But I think that if this last couple of years has taught us anything, it's just that we should be very grateful for when things are smooth. But when things do get rough, it's really nice to be part of a team that are able to, you know, continue to be creative and find ways around, you know, the stumbling blocks that can happen in life in general.
What about the three judges? So were you guys friends prior? Because you all get along so well. You bounce off each other incredibly well.
Oh, thank you so much. I knew Jock a little bit. I had interviewed him for the Great Australian Cookbook a couple of years prior to that, but that's the only time that we'd really interacted. I had not met Andy, but I am friends with his business partners in Three Blue Ducks, so I knew that if they vouched for him, that he must be a total legend. But really, in terms of the three of us and our dynamic, that was completely, you know, fresh and put together for the show, and I think from the very first moment we sat down and had lunch together, there was just a very easy sense of trust amongst us, and as we've grown together in this role, I think that we understand that the only other people that understand exactly what we're going through in that moment is the two people standing alongside you.
Your star has certainly risen since, you know, 2020, and for research, as I do on everyone, I Google them and...
Oh, God, okay.
No skeletons in the closet. But what struck me so much is the amount of paparazzi photos and headlines like, Melissa steps out with new beau, or Melissa steps out. Oh, it's like, you know, she's looking effortlessly chic today. I mean, is that bizarre?
Extremely. It's extremely bizarre. I don't think that that's a part of the job I will ever get used to. I'm an introvert, so I really appreciate my own personal time. And when you walk around and you go to the shops or you go, you know, to an event with your partner or something like that, you're not really thinking about, you know, necessarily is every hair in place and all the rest of it. But it's just part of what it is now. It used to really bother me a lot early on. I would get panic attacks over it and stuff like that and not leave the house unless I really, really had to.
Oh, wow.
So, it's something that has really taken quite some adjustment, but I think I have a much better handle on it now than I did 3 years ago, that's for sure.
Easter is this weekend, which is super exciting. Can I ask how you celebrate it? It obviously means a lot, you know, family time and religious celebrations for a lot of families, but also food and chocolate. You know, how do you celebrate?
Well, look, at this point in the season for us, we're still filming the show and we're getting to the pointy end. We sort of have, you know, the last couple of weeks left. So we usually use the Easter long weekend to take a bit of a well-earned break and stretch our feet and really just enjoy having a little bit of time off before our last push. So it's definitely all going to be about leisure and relaxation and not too much stress this weekend.
What do you do with your leftover eggs? Have you got a whiz-bang recipe that you can tell us about, you know, all those leftovers?
Look, I think that food waste is a huge issue for, you know, for the world in general, and we should all do a lot better in terms of being able to find creative ways to use up leftovers and all of the rest of it. So you know, when it comes to savoury leftovers, when you've had people over and you've got lots of things around, you know, everything from, you know, shredding leftover roasted meats and sort of adding a tin of tomatoes and then baking some eggs and that beautiful kind of saucy, meaty goodness is always a really good way of sort of getting rid of last night's leftovers. In terms of leftover chocolate, what leftover chocolate?
Good point. Can you settle an argument or help me settle an argument? So
I will do my best.
Okay, thank you. We were given a couple of Easter eggs last night and hubby wanted to put them in the fridge. I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. No. I'm more of a room temperature kind of gal. Can you help me put forward an argument that they should be kept out of the fridge?
Absolutely. I was actually asked this question earlier today on another radio station that we won't talk about. But the reason is, yes, absolutely, they go in the cupboard.
Yes.
There's 2 reasons for it that I can give you that you can go home with confidence today and set down.
Brilliant.
One of them is the chocolate absorbs flavour very easily. So if you have a whole bunch of different things in your fridge, some of which are a little bit on the more pungent side of things, so if you've got garlic or strong cheeses, etc., your chocolate will absorb the flavours of your fridge.
Oh, funky.
So unless you want that, I wouldn't do it. The other one is that sometimes you can see sort of like a pale, what we call a bloom on the sugar, which is kind of like almost like a frost.
Yes.
And what that is called a sugar bloom. And what happens when you put chocolate in the fridge is that the sugar dissolves and then rises to the surface of the chocolate. And it doesn't affect the flavour necessarily, but it does give the chocolate a gritty texture. And it obviously doesn't look as pretty as a glossy, sort of shiny piece of chocolate. So if you want your chocolate to look and taste its best, keep it in the pantry.
This is excellent knowledge that I will win 1-0. Melissa,
You
thank
are
you
welcome.
so much. It's lovely chatting with you and good luck with the season.
Likewise, thank you so much.
MasterChef judge Melissa Leong there. And MasterChef Fans v Favourites. It gets boiling on Monday on Channel 10 at 7:30. Let's talk to Bev, who has called in. Bev, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Jade. Pretty good, thanks.
You're busy baking, but are you going to give me this hot cross buns recipe?
Oh, not really.
Oh.
No, not really.
I'll get it from you one day. Talk to me. How's it all going?
Oh, they're cooked.
What do they look like? Perfect?
Oh, well, I've made them so often. I've been making them for years now.
How many did you bake?
My 10 that when my kids went to Goodwood Tech, the tech study, sheet metal, he made me 2 tins that hold 24 tons.
Oh, beautiful. And do you save them for the weekend, or do you hand them out to friends and family?
Oh, well, if I got time, I do, yeah.
And what are you doing this weekend, Bev?
Oh, nothing major. The son's got time off work, of course. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll go do a bit of fishing.
Oh, beautiful.
If I can drag Max away.
Yeah, where are you going?
Oh, well, it won't be going over the peninsula, I'll tell you that much.
No, well,
no
we
way.
don't think
we
the
used to
weather's
love
too
going
good.
over Drossen.
Oh, that's a gorgeous part of the world.
Yeah, we used to love going over there, but no, it'll probably be pretty local.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so...
Oh, well, Bev, thank you so much. You have a lovely, lovely Easter. I think the crabs are still biting down York's way. We're going to take a really short break. Coming up after 4 o'clock, it's Rowie Sports Show, but Bix is stepping in again because Rowie is unwell, which is no good. So, Rowie, if you're listening, we wish you all the very best. We'll also get a update. We'll do a bit of a whip around. We'll head to the Adelaide Airport. We'll talk to a Channel 7 reporter who is out on the road and give us an update of what we're seeing out and about. You're listening to Adelaide's 5AA.
The Skip, Mark Bickley, talks footy with Rowie each Friday night. Thanks to Jarvis Toyota. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Land Cruiser 300 at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park.
The original MasterChef winner, Julie Goodwin!
Julie's back.
Don't be nervous. It's like saying, don't be 51.
MasterChef, fans and favourites. Starts Easter Monday on 10.
Ever paid $30 for a schnitty? You've probably paid garnish tax. All those little alfalfa sprouts, parsley sprigs, the nonsense you push to the side, you're paying for it. Sure, it looks pretty, but there's nothing like a simple, hearty meal the way you know and love without garnish tax. 722 are cooking classics for just $14.90. Monday to Friday, lunch and dinner. Simple, tasty, $14.90. For a bar and bistro, the way it's meant to be. Visit 722 Port Road, Beverley.
If you were to come into an aged care facility and see what I see every day, you'd be heartbroken, you'd be disgusted, and you'd want to make a change too, because our residents deserve more.
It's disgusting that you haven't done your job and fixed staff ratios in aged care, Mr. Morrison. Vote to make aged care staff ratios law and help Samantha and her colleagues provide the best care for our elderly loved ones. Authorised by Elizabeth DeBars, Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, SA Branch, Adelaide.
A Meals on Wheels volunteer has her say.
You look forward to having a very quick chat to some of the people that you deliver to. Some are waiting at the door. Others are sitting in their chair, but always with a smile, and always with a thank you and full of gratitude.
Get behind the wheel and volunteer for Meals on Wheels. Go to mealsonwheelssa.org.au.
A lot of them will always say, delicious. love the meal.
North Point Traders used car sale is on now. Buy a used car from North Point by the end of April and you could win North Point's Best of SA package for you and a friend. North Point's package includes a night at the boutique Pago Retreat Middleton, a 5-hour helicopter experience, wine tasting and 3-course lunch. If you've been searching for a used car, buy from North Point now and you could win. It's the North Point way. Hillcrest, Prospect, Port Augusta, northpointtoyota.com.au.
Harvey Norman's Super Easter Weekend. Bonus local delivery on Australian-made mattresses and bedroom furniture with purchases over $999. Super deals on lounges, dining, outdoor furniture and barbecues. Available for quick delivery. Plus 60 months interest-free, no deposit finance from Latitude with 60 approximately equal monthly payments. Finance only available if you have or are approved for a participating Latitude credit card. Minimum finance amount $1,000. See T's and C's. Interest applies for non-compliance. Fees and product exclusions apply. Available on in-store purchases only. Delivery 25-kilometre radius of store. Super Easter Weekend on now at Harvey Norman.
Come together this long weekend at Dan Murphy's. 4 days of unbeatable offers, including Piper Heidsieck Brut Champagne Non-Vintage for $45.90 in any 6. In-store or online at danmurphys.com.au. Choose to drink wise. Conditions apply. Offer ends Thursday, April 14.
Jade Robran on 1395. Adelaide's 5AA.
Good afternoon, it's 10 minutes to 4 o'clock. Coming up after 4 o'clock, it's Roey's Sports Show. Sadly, Roey is still on the sick bay, or in the sick bay, so we've got Mark Bickley, the skip, in to replace him. How are you?
I'm very well, Jade. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Poor fella. He's lost his voice, which is really hard for radio, isn't it, when you can't talk?
It was starting to go a couple of days ago, so it's out, isn't it?
Yeah, he needs to give it some complete rest, which is good. But here's the thing. I've stepped into a show tonight, which is actually Thursday night and Friday night almost combined. So we have got a list of stars to join us. Rory Sloane's going to join us from the Adelaide Footy Club. Charlie Dixon from Port Adelaide. We're going to speak with Caroline Wilson, which will be very interesting, of course.
It's probably good that Rory's
had a little bit of a crack
not
at Rowie with Caro's Arrow. Neil Baum, of course, is aligned with the Tigers. The Tigers are coming to town to take on Adelaide. And Brendan Lay, we mentioned this the other night, that Brett Ratton has COVID and that Brendan Lay will be sitting in the big chair. So that's a great reward for him. He's been in the game many years now, so he gets an opportunity to show what he can do.
I heard him talk. I must have been on during the news or something like that. And they played a clip, and he just seems so humble about the experience. But it must be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Oh, look, I think it is. He's, like I said, he's been an assistant coach for a number of years at Port Adelaide, and now he's at St Kilda, and he sat in the coach's box a lot. But it does change things when the buck stops with you, when you have the ultimate say. So, like I said, it's great that they have looked at him. There's probably 3 or 4 other people that could have been. So Brendan Lay gets that opportunity. So well done to him. And there'll be a few nerves, but there's also, I bet you he's excited about it. It'd be great to be calling the shots. Big. Like I said, you called him humble. He is. He's a big, humble Kangaroo Island boy. And he's just made a great fist of his footy career. And now he's doing some good things in the coaching box.
No, exciting times. Good luck to him. Thank you, Bix.
No worries.
Have a great afternoon.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends.
Well, it is the Thursday afternoon before the Easter break, and loads of families are on the road, going camping, going to visit family and friends. Their roads are going to be chock-a-block. We are already hearing reports that South Road is very, very busy, inward and outwards. Also, a lot of people heading down to York Peninsula and also the Victor Harbour Gula Way. So be safe. Also up on the freeway. I'm going to head to the river in a couple of hours. So lots of people heading out to enjoy the beautiful weather that we will have here in South Australia over the weekend. To get an update on what is happening, let's go to Hayden Nelson from 7 News. He's at the tollgate. Hayden, thanks for joining the program. What's it like? Is it starting to get a bit busy?
Hey, Jade, yeah, look, it is, and it's a not a bad run to the river at the moment, and I'm at the South Eastern Freeway. It's picking up. There are a lot of cars going through with boards on the roofs, but it's a very different story on South Road, as you say, and for those heading north. We've been getting pictures coming into the newsroom with long delays for drivers up in Port Augusta this afternoon. We're basically hearing it's taking just around half an hour to cross the Port Augusta Bridge. So that's some serious delays there, and we'll have those pictures for you coming up. The other road to keep an eye on is Port Wakefield Road, of course. The Transport Department has issued an alert about delays there. They're warning holiday makers to expect similar scenes you kind of see every kind of holiday up there this long weekend too. So works in that overpass, that's continuing. The speed limits remain in place, but the restrictions on that road have been lifted. They were lifted this morning at 6 o'clock, so they're hoping to get a pretty smooth run out of the city if you are heading up to the York Peninsula.
That is always a bottleneck, isn't it? Hayden, thank you so much, and you can see Hayden's full report on 7 News at 6 o'clock. Let's talk now to Brenton Cox, Managing Director at Adelaide Airport. We are seeing long queues already really kicked off this morning. And Brenton, thanks for joining us. Has it continued throughout the day?
Hi, Jade. Look, it has actually been fantastic, and I don't mean the queues, just seeing people out and about, happy travellers, smiling faces. It is beautiful. And fortunately in Adelaide today, our security has been seamless. So it's been moving really quickly and people have been getting through, very fast. We had early on a little bit of some check-in lines going down to the Virgin side of things, but they did move relatively quickly. So it's been busy all day, but it's been working pretty well. So day one of, I guess, the Easter long weekend test for us, and so far things are great.
Oh, good news. And if people are flying out later this afternoon, what's your recommendation?
Continuing to recommend 2 hours before your departure time, and that just reduces any stress in the journey. And if things do go wrong, they can, queues can start to form pretty quickly. So we really just prefer people just to take that risk out 2 hours before, and then that can just mean that you get to start that journey a little bit earlier, or otherwise, if things go a little haywire, then you don't need to worry about missing your flight.
Absolutely great advice, and it's just that little bit less stressful. Bruce has called in. Hi, Bruce. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I just come through Clarendon, and there's been a 3-car accident right outside the Clarendon Hotel.
Oh, dear.
So traffic is banked up about 1 kilometre in each direction.
Thanks so much for calling in. So that's Clarendon right out the front of the hotel there. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You drive safely now and have a happy Easter. That is a wrap for today's show. Thank you so much. I've got a couple of days off now, which I'm looking forward to spending with my family. As I said, we're heading down to the river just for a couple of days, and then I'm going to head back and do some gardening. But you have a very, very safe and enjoyable Easter. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Celebrate it however you do. Be safe, be kind to one another, and I look forward to seeing you and chatting with you again next week. Bye.
You don't have to jump on a plane to find pals from around the world, or even leave the airport.